Hi, this is Dan Collins joining you live from Traders Expo New York. Return to our conversation with Matt Weller, our forex expert from forex.com. And it really is a great period of time for you because you know the geopolitical events, forex markets have been really kind of forefront for people's minds. And you know, we were talking about this earlier. One of the most important things about forex markets is whether you trade it or not, you need to know where they're going because those fundamentals and technicals affect all the other markets.
Absolutely, Dan. That's a great point. I actually was able to give a presentation here that I think the recording of the presentation is on the YouTube page for Traders Expo, but basically talking about how the forex market it impacts commodities, it impacts stocks in particular, and it impacts the bond market, and vice versa. There's two-way relationships, so having that full knowledge of intermarket correlations can give you a broader picture, really regardless of what market you're trading. And I think a lot of traders here in the U.S. especially ignore developments in the forex market. They just don't focus on it, and much to their detriment.
Yeah, well, when you were talking about the fixed income market, and obviously, I mean, they go hand in hand. I think probably a lot of good carry trade opportunities. I don't know where that's going on right now, but central banks have had more impact on markets ever before. Do you see that waning at all, or?
I think it's almost like a Pandora's box, right? Once you open the box, it's really hard to close again. So there's been a theory about markets being used more as almost like public utilities, right? So they're things that need to keep working, need to keep rising in our current political environment. So I think central banks will continue to be active. We've seen a couple, maybe 18% declines in the S&P 500, and in each time that spooked the Federal Reserve here, and we see other central banks almost across the globe. Every central bank is more so in an easing mode. The Fed is the one I think might squeeze in another interest rate hike this year, but I think this easy monetary policy is here to stay for a while. We're in uncharted territory, so it's going to be interesting to see how that develops moving forward.
The interventionist central bank is a new normal?
I think it very well might be, at least until it doesn't work anymore. It's just myopic thinking, right? It's convenient in the short term, and we might need a Paul Volcker type person down the road who's willing to take that short-term pain and be the center of all the ire of everyone in order to get us back on maybe a more consistent path.
You know, you've been analyzing, we've been talking, a lot of speakers and a lot of contributors on MoneyShow.com about the unwinding of QE, and other people have to do it, but there's also maybe an unwinding of this kind of very active central bank that has to happen.
Does it have to happen? So what's the catalyst, right? It almost would have to be when, I forgot the exact quote, but it's something like people change when the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same. Right now, there's hardly any pain. Markets are going up. There's low volatility, so maybe us as traders aren't on top of the world right now in some ways, but in general, people are happy. So if we'll have to maybe see inflation, that's something that can take a bite out of the everyday consumer's life that might force a change. But as it stands, it's just steady as she goes, I guess. What's going to make us change? Well,
I was going to ask, wasn't QE supposed to be that it was too painful in the markets and we had to be stable where we could take the pain later on? But we never really have. Right. We've never really taken that.
Yeah, it's like fiscal policy too, right? You can always spend money to help yourself in the short term, and let the next guy deal with the long-term effects of that. And we've even seen that at the central bank passing the buck forward.
Okay, well, the good news is that makes markets very interesting.
Absolutely.
Continue. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Dan, pleasure. Thank you.
All right, this has been Dan Collins with Matt Weller at New York Traders Expo.